Well, as we're still watching and monitoring the crisis in Israel, it has put a renewed scrutiny on Congress, especially on the House, because they are without a speaker. Our Washington correspondent Rachel Knapp joins us live from the U.S. Capitol tonight, and our Washington correspondent has the very latest on the situation. Rachel, the House has an interim speaker right now until a new one is elected. How does that impact the chamber's ability during this time?
Good evening, Nick. So according to people I spoke with, as well as some other sources, the House Speaker Pro Tem's authority is basically powerless. What we're being told is that they have the authority to call in members to vote on a new speaker, to adjourn, to break for recess, just to name a few things. Now, when the House ousted Kevin McCarthy last week as Speaker, a post-9/11 rule was enacted. Basically, the Speaker has to provide a list of successors if there was no longer a Speaker. Not only are we in uncharted territory by having the House successfully vote out a Speaker, but now we are dealing with this in a time of crisis. Without a Speaker, the House cannot perform legislative business, meaning if members of Congress wanted to provide emergency funding for Israel, the legislation can't be brought to the House floor. But according to Todd Belt, the George Washington University professor and director of political management, the U.S. is still able to provide aid without Congress's approval.
The president does have the ability to move weapons from U.S. stockpiles over to Israel. And the president actually plans on doing that. And the United States has plenty it can draw upon in order to do so. Unless this gets dragged out for weeks and weeks, I don't think it's going to have an impact on the United States' ability to supply weaponry to Israel.
Now, Belt also adds that this does not look good for our country, that the House is not in order, especially during these difficult times. He also says that the House is really important when it comes to foreign and national security, and having the House without a speaker is very problematic. And Nick, we can expect the House to possibly start voting in a new speaker as early as this week. Nick, back to you.
All right, thanks, Rachel. And following the initial attack in Israel over the weekend, Congressman Nick Langworthy released a statement saying in part that he stands with Israel and the unprovoked attacks and the brutal murder of civilians by Hamas terrorists are horrifying and heartbreaking. And Senator Chuck Schumer, he said he was briefed by senior national security officials on Israel, adding that he asked the Department of Defense to help Israel in everything that they may need. Well, you can stick with